Hello there, what's going on everybody? It's JB here with a transfer deadline special. So this is episode 94. It's not the Leeds game as I thought it was going to be, but we are in the process of buying some players. So Mertesacker, as we bought for cover, he's an experienced German centre half. Has just signed from Arsenal. We just signed a new contract with him. Signed a contract. I don't know how much we got him for, but I'm sure we got him for a pretty penny. We'll be able to tell you in a minute how much we actually did get him for. But it was a good deal, good little deal for us. That when you look at the business that we'd done, we needed an experienced centre back. We got one. Yes, we've signed him for. Let's see how much we've signed him for. It's hard to tell really, but let's have a look. We've signed him for £3.9 million, so not a bad deal for. Okay, he's 34, but he's still a top class centre back, regardless of how he is at the moment. So we joined it with 6 hours of the transfer window still to go. We're still probably looking for one player, maybe get a couple of sales in. It's always pretty difficult. Then Stoke City decided to show interest in Tom Davis. They bid up to 12.3 million. I would have thought would have rejected this. I think off memory, yes, we did reject the offer. It wasn't a good enough deal. He's a player that we want to groom and turn him into a top quality player, because we know that Stephen Defoe isn't going to get much younger, and we think Tom Davis, once Defoe moves on, we think Tom Davis will just be the right man to sort of take over the mantle really from Stephen Defoe in that department. Bournemouth have been spending very well. So we spent so far in the window 26.3.5 million, 26.2 million pounds, something like that. Chelsea has spent over 100 million on 2 players. Well, it's Chelsea at the end of the day, and they can afford to do that sort of thing, I suppose. We had a look at Ben Gibson. Some of the players we've been scouting. We looked at Ben Gibson from Middlesbrough. He's worth £7.5 million. So we decided to meet up with the Middlesbrough manager, which at the time, I forget who it was. It's Gary Monk. Obviously, Tony Pulis has gone over there. Baseball Capital have taken over since then. We bid. His valuation is 7.5. So we bid $1 million under the valuation because we want to try and get him a cheaper price. Obviously Monk doesn't want to sell him for that sort of money, so we counteract that and decide that that's probably a little bit too much, so we up it by 500k to 7 million pounds. 700 I don't know. Middlesbrough's right, they're sticking to the price tag, so we counter it over again. We don't want to be paying that sort of money, not for Ben Gibson. We have a budget as well to compare, so we go back to £7 million again. We think £7 million is a fair offer, and they're not playing ball here. They're not playing ball, so we decide to end the negotiations, because Middlesbrough typically, as they've always done with Burnley, play hardball with us. So I'm very, very disappointed. He would have been a great signing for us, a great backup defender, but it just wasn't to be, and his weekly wage wouldn't have been too bad either. So we were a little bit frustrated and disappointed that we couldn't quite get that one over the line, because we were struggling at centre back. We'd sold, obviously we'd sold Tenataby. Looking back now, it's probably a wrong decision really, but at the time we needed the money. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we look. I mean, I don't know. It would have been a great coup for us, Ben Gibson. But there you go. When you're the chairman's son, it's not easy to actually get him into the team. So meanwhile, we're looking at centre backs to try and complement what we've already got, and we were struggling to find somebody really of any real quality from a real price to really bring in, because obviously we brought in experience, but we wanted a younger centre back to challenge the likes of Shawcross and Ben Mee as well. I mean, some of the prices for some of them, Sean Raggett there, we weren't we really have a look at him. He was the guy that knocked Burnley out the FA Cup when he was with Lincoln in real life last season. We had a look at Chris Smalling, Jack Stevens. John Stones was obviously going to be too much. Jan Vertonghen, again, they're just not. They're not. It's just they're too big. They're too pricey for people like us. Virgil van Dijk as well. We had a look at Van der Horn, but it just wasn't the quality there. So we ended up going down into the Championship to see if there was any decent defenders in there, and we had a look. Obviously, you never know what you'll look there. Stephen Coker, we had a look at. Kieran Clark, Harley Dean from Birmingham, and we really did. We were scraping the barrel here. The Lewis Dunk we considered, and in the end, we ended up going to Newcastle for our centre back. Although we did have a look at Keane, but again, it cost too much money. Even to Championship centre backs, it was just astronomically bad. Now we looked at Jamal Lascelles, and it was 7.5, and we thought long and hard about bringing Jamal Lascelles in because we were never going to get Rory McCardle, were we? But going back to Jamal Lascelles, there was just something in my mind at the time when I was waffling through these players. He's 25, he's a young lad, he's proved his worth at Premier League level, even if his team hadn't in Newcastle, and we felt it was an opportunity too good to turn down because we were just scratching our heads thinking, who can we come in? Surely there's got to be somebody of some quality that we can buy, and we have to watch our step as regards the budgets and things like that. And it was difficult at the time because we wanted to sign players, and anyway, we did decide to try and sign Jamal Lascelles. Started off his career at Nottingham Forest and obviously at Newcastle. So we shortlisted him to the transfer hub, which obviously you do. So we looked at him. So we clicked onto the transfer hub, and hey presto, we bidded for Jamal Lascelles. We talked it over with Rafa's. We talked it over with Rafa's advisors as we were looking to obviously add in that position, and we offered. How much did we offer? Well, they wanted £10 million. I don't know what the initial offer was, but we wanted somewhere in the region of about 6.7 million. So we submitted the offer. I think our first bid was about £6 million, I think, off memory, but I might be wrong there. But anyway, £8 million is what they came back with. So we proposed that, okay, we won't play hardball, we'll try 7 million, which is 500 grand under the valuation, and we tried a sell-on clause, I think. Well, so we were in the lap of the gods as far as this one was concerned. So they had to come back to us within probably an hour, and then we had to draw up all the contracts. So it was a little bit messy, really, in that sort of sense. So with less than 4 hours to go with the window, I've been feeling like Jim Wright here. Anyway, Jordan Ibe then was. Anyway, they looked at it, and it's 7.5 million. And then Leicester was interested in purchasing Jordan Ibe. Now, we negotiated the deal because if we could get it up to £10 million plus or £9 million plus, then we had a chance of the deal actually being done. And so we upped it to, I think it was £9 million, which I thought was the right deal for us at the time. And yeah, Craig Shakespeare said we'll match the £9 million. Craig Shakespeare, when we started this, was the manager of Leicester at the time. Obviously, Claude Perrault has taken over from him since then. But it was a great little move for us, and quite pleased with that signing, and so we got the deal done, and obviously we matched Newcastle's bid of 7.5, and we decided to go with it because we were selling Jordan Ibe. So here he is with his agent as we look to try and just end our centre-back crisis. Right, so the role in the team, we wanted him as a rotation, which we got. We wanted to give him a 4-year contract, and they were happy, Jamal Lascelles and his agent, absolutely delighted about that. Fantastico. And then obviously there wasn't going to be a release clause inserted in the contract, and then it was all down to money at the end of the day. I think they wanted 51 grand for him, which I didn't think was right. So we decided to edit that down. We just didn't think it was the right time. We didn't think he was worth that money, so we decided on 45 grand plus the £700,000 signing bonus. Then he decided to up it by 5 grand to 50,000, and we thought, alright, go on then, we'll take it. So Jamal Lascelles becomes, I think, our 5th January signing now of the window, I think, to add to what we've already got. Let's have a look at what we got as we confirm Jamal Lascelles. There he is, proudly paraded his Burnley shirt. He will wear number 19 for the remainder of the season. A great little signing for that, and he will provide much needed cover along with Per Mertesacker as the covering Burnley centre backs. So the transfer window going a little bit well for us now. Two signings in the deadline. Great, with a total of about just over £11 million spent on both players, which, to be fair, for two quality centre backs that can come in at a minute's notice to replace our best ones, isn't such a bad thing, really. I mean, that's money well spent, really, when you think about it. So I mean, look at Chelsea. It's 106.3 million quid. So 2 hours of the window left. We're still waiting whether Jordan Ibe will go or not. And then Andre Schürrle was courted by Dortmund for £17 million. He's a terrific talent, Schürrle, but did we think it was a good offer? Not really. I think we rejected that offer. Well, we did reject that offer. We felt it was not wise. So far, I think we've spent something. Anyway, we'll check the full stat at the end of the day. So with an hour to go, and that was it. Jordan Ibe's, unfortunately, talks broke down, and that was the end of the window, unfortunately. But it was a great window. Just unfortunate that we couldn't get Jordan Ibe's sale over the line. But a decent window for us. Balotelli came as well. Danny's got player of the month, and then we were offered the opportunity to go marry Spanish PSG, and well, behold, we decided to reject that deal because there were still things to be, we still have a lot to achieve at Burnley. And then Bremen, what a cheeky bid that was. They decided to bid a loan deal for our best right back. They wanted a 1-year loan deal. I thought, what cheek! So we rejected that, and then Dang Adji, he was interested in being purchased by QPR, obviously Jordan Ibe. So we decided, obviously, now we're out of the transfer window, with any deal was done, it wouldn't take place until the summer. So they bidded the asking price, but we wanted to take it that little bit further. So we invited Ian Holloway back up to Burnley for talks, and we said, right, you can have him for 2.5 million quid or 2.7 million quid. So we submitted the offer, and guess what? Oh, we'll have 2.3. So we counted it. In hindsight, I wish we'd have just kept it at 2.3. So we said 200 grand more. Yeah, we'll up it a bit, and yep, they would match it, and Holloway decides to match the deal. So there we are. That just about brings us to the end of this January transfer special. Hope you very much enjoyed episode 94. Episode 95 is going to be a real cliffhanger as we take on Leeds in the 4th round of the FA Cup. But for this January transfer deadline special of this Burnley Career Mode episode, it's ta-ra for now from me, JB. Take care, and I'll see you soon.